Get ready. Hold tight. It's
Hold on to your hats, boys.
Libos.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to another episode of the Wednesday Week.
Just what the flipping Nora are you lot doing?
I'm still in there. I'm still right behind him.
It was just a very well thought out tactical plan by Danny.
I want go!
I can literally feel the steam coming out your ears.
So it's like a fun little post-game snack.
The Wednesday Week! Hello, good evening, and welcome to another episode of the Wednesday Week, fresh on the back of what's been a terrible Monday for me, and I'll probably hear about the lads in just a second, and also a good 2-day long hangover from London away day. It always happens. I can't be trusted. I'm the worst. Tonight, joining me, I've got Stevie, Simon, and Ash, who's going to be manning the comments, so don't forget to get involved. And if you haven't already, and if you're new and you're watching us this evening, make sure you join us via the subscribe button. I am quick to the point, no faking, cooking MCs like a pound of bacon. Good evening and welcome to the Wednesday Week. Tonight we've got 2 games to get through. We've got Bristol City and we've also got Queen's Park Rangers. We've also got a bit of Wednesday news as well. It's another bumper episode, kids. Stevie, how's your Monday been? All right, yeah.
Oh my God, I'm still suffering.
I am rotting.
Today
was hard work, and they do monthly stock takes at my work, and today was one of those.
I have zero recollection of getting from the station to my house on Saturday night. Oh my God. Lovely stuff. Now, you, I know, Simon, you and Ash went to go and watch the boxing, which benefit of retrospect. Not the worst idea. I feel like you did the best zig when we all zagged on that one, bro. I was your day today. You're still stinking. I mean, what I've crossed over now into the 2-day, 3-day hangover realm. I don't know when I go up another tick box in the hangover realm. What about you?
I was all good today, mate. All good.
Oh, fuck you.
Yesterday.
Ash, did you get an early night as well after the boxing, or did you have a celebratory beer? He's on mute. That's what's happening. It's only been 5 years we've been using these. Yeah, of course.
That's because I'm reading the comments and everything first. I didn't want to, and I sometimes read out loud, because I'm not that clever. So it'll be like I could be going, beautiful souls, Bristol City, like that. So I mean, yes, I did watch all 3 minutes of Dalton Smith masterclass. It was fantastic. I loved it.
Yeah, he absolutely boxed him up, didn't it? It weren't too shabby. I noticed we've also got Charlie in the comments there, so she's going to be getting involved. And when we start talking about Michael Smith's departure, I feel that might cause some discourse because I've got some pretty right-wing views about it, as the lads heard about it rather loudly after a couple of Vimto-flavoured sours at Brewdog in Shepherd's Bush. So right then, let's get into Bristol City, midweek fixture at home under the lights. I felt like this was something we could take some points from, Stevie. I feel like we could have gone in and come away with all 3. This is the lineup: Beadle, Valerie, Ihekwe, Bernard, Maxlow, Johnson, Charles, Bannon, Gassama, Windass, Ugbo. Now this should have been Charles's last game for us, but as we'll get into in a bit, it weren't. Still a
you spoiled the surprise. You spoiled the surprise.
New biggest secret in town. Bit of a makeshift defense once again, with still us having some big centre backs out, but 4 at the back once again. Something that Danny keeps trying. Darren Moore tried it. I think even Tony Pulis tried it, but I don't know. None of us were there. We didn't see it. Is that where you feel Danny wants to go?
Yeah, I think we talked about it last week. I do think 4's his favoured formation, and if everything was equal, he'd play 4 at the back. I think he's been forced by the squad that he's got to revert to the 3, and I think I might be wrong. There's no sort of substance for what I'm saying, but I just get a feeling that he went to the 3, and now that we've gone back to the 4 because of the injuries that we've got. At the moment, no Iorfa, no Famewo. We've got Lowe in there and Bernard. Ihekwe's come back, but there's nobody sort of forcing the issue in terms of going in there at left back if we don't have Lowe. So he's kind of drifted out there because I don't think at the minute Rule trusts Johnson, which is why we've gone to the 4. And I think I've got no arguments with what's happening. It doesn't look like we're being overran in any of the games really. Certainly not when we lined up on Wednesday night, wasn't it? I thought it was a game, like you've said, that we could and should have been getting 3 points from.
My apologies. I've just seen your faces stop moving, and my earphones have just absolutely cut out. So that's nice, isn't it? Simon, I'm going to come to you on the hope that they may come back in. Mike's Lowe starting to make that shirt his own. In he's turned into a hell of a player.
Yeah, he's been a great player. I think since we played United, obviously United put the bad press on him. You know, we got that he's rubbish, he's crap, we don't want him anyway, the usual sort of thing. We've had that before with previous players, haven't we? But since we played United away, I think he's really has made it his shirt. He's superb. Absolutely great player. Fantastic eyelashes, lovely cheekbones.
He is an absolute dreamboat and all, isn't he? Sweet child of mine. I honestly, I can't look at a picture of him without feeling terrible about the way I look. Ash, let's get into the game, because I know we've got a significant amount to get through this evening. What was the first bit? It was our goal, wasn't it? Pretty much the first thing that happened.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. Windass picks it up, Dante into midfield, puts it out to Valerie. First time cross, Valerie into the box. Gassama with a great finish, like in the, should call it the far corner, low. It was great. And I'm just going to say, up till then, the Bristol City, I'll not say Bristol because we get tetchy when people say Sheffield, so it's only right to extend the courtesy to another city, isn't it? I'll say they didn't offer much at all. And for me, Gassama, that 45 minutes was just his best 45 minutes I've seen from a player at Hills. Like a single 45 minutes for a good while. I thought he actually tore them apart. It was great. He was on the ball. He made great choices. And his finish was composed. Like I say, it was a great first time ball from Valerie. I thought it was just a good team goal all round, but keeping it out much of a chance. But yeah, I think that from recalling and looking at the highlights earlier today, that was the first thing that really happened in the game. And for once, it was us scoring first.
It's a weird feeling to be in, isn't it? Would you do me a favour, Ash? You are man in the comments this evening. I've not seen what's come through, but I need to change my earphones because I'm getting about 75% missing of what everybody's saying. I feel that's why I probably doubled down on Stevie's point there. So what I'm asking for you to do is pad for me while I change my earphones. Is that all right?
I'm sure, Daniel. I'm sure I can do it for you, just for you. Yeah, we'll go to the comments and we've got Matt Strickland, Bristol shitty. That's a bit harsh, that, isn't it, mate? But and he says he's forgot the game already, and that's weird as well, especially after Saturday. So that's why we've had to watch the highlights. Sheila Dodd, Johnson poor again against Bristol City, and yeah, I think I think all of us will agree with that. Stevie, do you agree with Sheila's a little bit of assessment of Johnson?
He weren't at it, were he? And I think you mentioned the build up to the first goal. I think it is working for balance of, being reasonable and giving a fair and balanced argument. It was Johnson that did that little flick on the halfway line that I think you said Windass. I don't know if it went to Windass and then he's played Valerie in, but he's done a sexy little 2-touch flick with his heel, and that's got it away from a couple of players. And at that point, you're thinking, right, we're all right here. Marv looks like he might be at it, sort of thing. But looking at the comments, there have been sort of rumours and rumblings of the fact that there may be things that are off the pitch that are sort of impacting and affecting him. And if that be the case, then it's a difficult situation, isn't it? Because it's very easy to say, leave it at home, don't come to work, blah blah blah. But when you're at a football club and we are struggling for players because we've got so many injuries and we've got people that are missing out, and we want to try and get the squarest pegs in the squarest holes, it's a difficult one, isn't it?
Yeah, there's no sentiment there. If you are struggling into you cross that line and you've got 24,000, I think, that were there at Bristol, and obviously you're at work then, aren't you? And it's not like us when we're at work and we just sit back behind his computer and put his head in his hands if we'd had a few many drinks over the weekend. But as a footballer, you're on show, aren't you? And us, we're criticising the way he played, but yeah, obviously he must have other things on his mind that we don't really think about at the time, do we?
I agree. Are we on to the Bristol City goal yet? Did we get there? Did I miss any of that?
No, not quite. It was just Sheila had just put a comment up about Johnson being pretty poor against Bristol. So,
Yeah.
I was just expanding on that. Give you time to get your house in order.
I appreciate that, mate. I feel like I've got 2 tin cans stuck to the side of my head now, but I'm going to soldier on because I'm quite the trooper and try and repress this rage that I've got, that this hangover and technical issues are not common bedfellows. So, Stevie, let's get into the next item. That was their goal, wasn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. There was the first half was good. I thought we were the better side, and I thought we were quite comfortable first half. And then we had the challenge with Shea Charles, didn't we? Scott Twine went through the back of Shea Charles, and that led to a yellow card. He got a yellow card for apparently retaliating, which I thought was quite harsh at the time. And they didn't. The highlights that I've seen didn't really sort of come back to that. But you get to half time. For me, there was only going to be one winner, and when Charles got dragged, people started coming out, and it was what's happening here sort of situation. And there was an air of sort of surprise in the ground when he didn't come out for the second half. It subsequently became the case that people were saying that he was at risk of a red card, and it was a tactical thing to stop him sort of getting sent off. If that be the case, that'd be the case. But I was certainly surprised not to see him come out in the second half.
That's interesting, Simon. Do you feel like it had something to do with the fact that there was an iron in the fire to retain Shea Charles?
It had prior to half time, he'd caught a player late on prior to that, and the referee had gone and had a word with him. And it was almost like if you'd not got a yellow already, that would have been a yellow. And I think obviously the Shea Charles saga has been bubbling up ever since the fans forum the other week, and was much discussed on the podcast last week. It's obvious, isn't it, that from what happened in him being dragged off for the second half, that they were more than deep into negotiations for him staying, if it wasn't already set in stone that it was staying already. But why would a manager protect a player from being sent off if he hadn't already got a fair amount of positivity in regards to he was staying at the club? Let's face it, if we knew he was definitely going and all avenues for him staying were dead, and the likelihood he was going to play for another team, Sheffield United, I would have left him on and let him get sent off. But no, Danny made sure that he covered all the assets and just made sure that.
But didn't he say something about keeping his legs as well? Was there an element of that, or did we make that up online? I can't remember.
No,
it seems ages ago now.
I thought that was Gassama. He's pulled Gassama off because he were cramping up.
Yeah,
he definitely alluded to the card. Danny definitely alluded to the card about the reason for his substitutions.
Fair enough.
He did have the yellow card for petulance. Really, he shouldn't have reacted. I know it was a bad kick by Twine, weren't it? And
terrible challenge,
but he did. But that's you're going to, aren't you, if you get a terrible challenge? So
terrible challenge.
I don't blame him for that, but he shouldn't. He knows the rules, and I think it was about a minute before half time. He did have a kick out at someone, and the ref did have a word. So there was that, like Si says, there was that thing. But bringing him off at half time for whatever reason is now we are getting into the realms of we believe what the manager does, and he had the best interest, and he thought of whatever the reason was for bringing the subs on, or the sub Palmer, weren't it, for Charles at half time for whatever reason. Then that's his decision, isn't it? And we're sticking with that. But what was it? Kick off 6 minutes later, and
and then they went to score dash.
Yeah, they went and Marvin Johnson just I think Stevie might be right with that flick in the first half of the goal may have been his only positive contribution. Apologies, Marvin, or if you're watching, but it was. And for the first goal, the ball came over to the right-hand side, and Marvin was playing virtually at centre-back. The amount of space that the winger had, call him a winger, right midfielder had, to just pick a cross out, and Ekwe, just above an Ekwe's head, he went for the header, and the Bristol City player equalised from 7 yards or whatever it was. It was a close header that was in, but yeah.
It really was.
It was a soft goal, wasn't it? An easy.
It was.
Soft
It,
goal.
it was. It was a bit of a Sunday League shit goal, if I'm honest. Now, 2 minutes later after that, our lead was restored through Barry Bannon, and I think even the night before that, Windass had a shot that just kind of ballooned over, didn't it? But I appreciate we're already 15 minutes in and we're still on Bristol City, and everybody wants to get to the good bit, right? So Bannon equalised. Bannon restored our lead.
No, he didn't.
No, he didn't.
No, he didn't.
No,
Jesus.
Bernard.
How can you forget that finish from Bernard, man?
Sorry,
For a centre back.
It was Bannon that played him through, and Bernard. I might be doing him an injustice here, Stevie, but Callum Patterson against Peter Bridget.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Absolutely.
It come off the inside of the defender's thigh. Yeah,
I was going to say he did a little bit of mustard, did he? And then he went, "Oh, I've still got it." Swing something at it.
Yeah, he did. He had a go. He had a go, and it went in. So I ain't bothered. It went in.
It were a great finish for a centre back. The ball, the ball fell favourably to him. The two Bristol City players ran into each other, which left him completely unmarked, and he just leathered it into the back of the net. It was
it came off the defender. Finish. It was going the other way. It deflected, so he didn't finish it like that. It just went in.
I should not have it.
I'm not having it now.
But can we also say, why was he so far up the pitch?
What's he doing?
And we actually noticed, and this must be part of Danny's game plan, but my mate Adi at the side of me kept saying, "Where's Bernard? Why is Bernard so far up the pitch?" And he constantly moved up, and this is where in the past, obviously Shea wasn't playing in the second half. Shea drops into sort of a centre-back position and allows defenders to go forward. But yeah, it very advanced. It got a nosebleed. Unbelievable.
In it. So then we had, there weren't a lot of things happening. I'm going to pop the stats up that Stevie's got prepared for me. Thank you, Stevie. I was on the tube. Not a lot going off, but for some reason there was 16 shots for us to their 13. I don't remember any of that. I'm like, what counts as a shot? But because if you had the Bet365 boost on Sheffield United on Friday night, I don't know what constitutes a shot anymore. How they've managed to knock up 29 on this one was absolutely incredible. However, on target 5 to their 3, which seems a little bit more normal. But yeah, not a lot going on. But at this point, Simon, you must have thought to yourself, we're back in front, noses are up again, tails are up. Yeah. We're going to be okay, right? We're going to be fine. And I, at this point, I was sat there thinking, we're probably going to see this over the line.
Yeah, without a doubt. It then felt like we all went Derby away all over and just we just sat back and let them attack us. Mm-hmm. And bear in mind, Bristol City are no mugs. You know, they're a team that have flirted with the playoffs over the last few years.
They know how to play mid-table championship.
They've got a few little gems in the side there. I mean, I didn't realise they'd signed Scott Twine. I thought he was on loan. I mean, he was at Burnley, Hull last season, and they're a decent side. I think they were just above us in the league, so they're no mugs. But we just seemed to then fall into it. It was almost like Danny had left the building and previous managers had come in and we were just sitting deep and defending and defending and defending. And every time the ball went out, there was nobody up there and it just came back at us. And there seemed to be this inevitability that they were going to score. And that's what happened.
And it was a shitty goal, weren't it, Ash? It weren't a great goal. I feel like I don't like digging Beadle out, but I feel he could have done better with that. He got done on his near post, man. Come on.
Yeah, from like about 4 yards out or whatever it was.
I mean, all right, it was essentially a free header and all, wasn't it?
I think the problem again was our left-hand side again. The cross came in. I think it was Bernard got a toe on it, went out, and the guy just headed it back in. And he was there, like I said, 4 or 5 yards out, and he headed it. And I think probably, you're right. It was at the near side for Beadle, but it was so close. And I don't blame Beadle for that. There was enough happening before that, as always, before it gets to a keeper and a goal, of course, that could have and should have cleared it. Stop the cross. Is that the phrase? Isn't it?
Yeah.
The initial shot cross should have never have come in. And if you go back and look at it, the first thing that they do, I think it's Max Lowe turns and he gets after Ingleson. And if you go back and watch the 10 seconds before the cross, Ingleson's ambling. He's not pressing the game. He's not forcing. And it kind of felt for that period of time towards the end of the game where we were getting deeper and deeper and more sucked in.
Yeah.
There was no urgency there. It was almost like, right, you can have the ball in these areas here that aren't going to hurt us, and we're going to go and play this low block that we've become quite well known for now. That's difficult to break down. We tried it against Leeds to a degree of success, even though we ended up losing the game and conceding 2 late goals. However, Ingleson, he's got to put a shift in and get out to that player and stop that cross, put pressure on the ball. And as he's done it, they've crossed the ball in. There was no urgency whatsoever. Bernard swung a foot at it, and then it's gone into that area. And by that point, everybody's pointing at each other, and we've shit with them.
Mm-hmm. You've got to think as well. I think taking Gassama off, because that right side of Bristol City's defence and midfield must have thought all the Christmas had come at once when Gassama came off, because up to that point, all they were having to do was just defend, which sort of gave Johnson a bit of a free rein because they got Gassama to contend with. As soon as he went off and Ingleson came on, that whole right side just opened up because Johnson kept going missing deep into midfield, which just left Lowe by himself. And that's when it invited their press onto us. And Steve's exactly right. Ingleson, who you would have thought may have come on for Shea Charles rather than Palmer, a guy who can drive the ball forward, was just left in no man's land, not coming back and working. And it just opened us up. And then, like you say, we just sat deep and just invited them onto us.
And we ended up chucking away 2 points after being in front twice, which, again, a lot of people came away quite acid-tongued. Stevie, you're going to have to cover your ears. Ash, if you go into starred comments, there's a couple there from the people out in the interwebs land who seem to plant the fault at the feet of Liam Palmer in some respects. Marvin Johnson's also getting his getting telled on the internet. But we've had one from Sharman here that said, on the subject of legs, unless it's an absolute emergency, was that the last game for LP2? Sorry, Stevie. I won't go as far as saying it's the last game for him, but then Jay Blogs has doubled down and gone, sorry, Stevie, once again, because you're the head of the fan club. But although Palmer's had many minutes, the ones he's had haven't been great. I feel in the centre of the park, we've stepped up the quality that's in there. And if Liam Palmer is a backup centre midfielder, I feel that what it's done, it's made him a squad player. It's knocked him down to a fringe player a little bit. And it was always inevitably going to happen because players get older. It'll happen to a lot of players going forward, where you kind of, if you play a lot of footy manager, you'll understand where their squad status is important. And I feel like he's gone from squad player to fringe player, which, after 11 years, you'd expect to happen, right? Have I been out of order there, Stevie?
I get the sentiment. I understand what people are saying. I think I've said this for years, I think he's a very easy target. I do. Liam Palmer was not the problem on Wednesday night, and I'll die on that hill. That is a hill I will go and die on.
It was part of the problem. It was not him. The subs, the overall,
right?
The subs that come on was the problem when he was part of that. That's not his fault. That was Danny Rule for me that made the subs. That weren't that. But I'm just saying that he was part of the problem because he was a sub.
Why?
Why? Because he was a sub that came on. So the subs that came on at half. He came at half time. Then Gassama and Ingleson. And just didn't work. Whatever the thing came on, it just didn't work. And obviously we threw away 3 points.
I think the problem is, did the team expect to carry on playing the same type of football as they were under Shea? Because unfortunately, it's oranges and apples there, isn't it? Palmer is not Shea Charles. So I think that was part of the problem, is that I think they expected to carry on playing the same level of football where Shea Charles is absolutely all over the place. And that's not Palmer's game. That isn't the way he plays. So they should have changed the way they were playing, maybe the formation or the tactics of the game. But they just sent to me that the game sort of in parts passed Palmer by because he wasn't they were playing a different game than what he's used to.
Do you know what?
I mean,
I actually agree with you, Simon. I feel there should have been a bit of a shift. We can't like for like swap Liam Palmer with Shea Charles. We can't do it.
Absolutely not.
You can't do it.
No.
And
I mean,
I think that's a great point.
So why are we sitting here and holding him to that standard and expecting him to do the things that Shea Charles can do? I'm not here for a second suggesting that he's box to box and should be doing this, that, and the other. There were a couple of moments in the second half where he's actually got the ball and has been quite progressive going forwards with it. But we don't remember those because everybody will go, right, we sat deeper and deeper and deeper. We didn't have Charles. Palmer came on for Charles. Oh, it's Liam Palmer's fault. And I get what Ash is saying. I totally understand. And I put out a thing on Wednesday night, Thursday morning where Rule had come out and said, and I, totally get it. So I don't want to sound like I'm being contradictory. He's gone, I made these subs. I put my faith in the subs and it didn't work. Yeah. Are we talking blanket holistic in terms of everything that's happened? Has Rule then gone, right, I've given him an instruction to go and do something that he couldn't do? Potentially, I don't know. But when I say he wasn't the problem, he wasn't the person that wasn't pushing and pressing for the second goal. He wasn't the person that was playing left back. He was all left wing, Where were we being overrun? Where was the pressure coming? It was in those areas that we were suffering.
It could rumble on and on, but it's not today's hot topic, whether Liam Palmer was useful to us last Wednesday.
I just feel like I've been really sort of, I'm going to stick up for my boy.
Yeah, you're sticking up for your boy, but we're 27 minutes in and we're still on the first game, lads. You're slaughtering me. So as it came, let me wrap this up for the love of Christ on toast. As it stood, we drew 2-2. Jedi and Dish scored. Dijon and Jedi scored their goals respectively.
Get Blair's comment off screen.
It felt like 2 points dropped. And there's a lot of discussion now about whether Liam Palmer is good enough for the championship. So let's move on. There was a couple of things happened during the week. It was also announced before the Crystal Palace game that Shea Charles's loan period had been extended. There was a lot of maths. There was a lot of things happening, a lot of stuff going on. But there's also rumours of the fact that he didn't empty his locker, that the fee of £250,000 has been mooted only on social media. So I might have to hang on a minute. There we are. The rumour mill. However, Shea Charles is still a Sheffield Wednesday player in spite of some what I believe to be make-believe S-housery from Sheffield United in order to try and bump up the price, as it were, and turn it into a bidding war. Clever on their behalf, but also F Southampton in the A for being a bit greedy. It absolutely smacked the money and being a bit, opportunist, if it were. So that meant that going into Queen's Park Rangers,
not Palace, not Palace.
Yeah, you mentioned you said Crystal Palace earlier on. I mean,
QPR.
I did used to live in Croydon, so man's got bare Crystal Palace references. So we did go into Queen's Park Rangers. We had all four of us had a big London away day, big spoons breakfast. Lads, I've still not managed to move it. I'm now full.
Oh man, I did.
And I don't want to go into too much detail, but if those who are aware of what a Domino's alarm clock is, you will realise that having had no movement after a Domino's is. Let's move on. So anyway, Ashley, QPR.
I'll catch up.
No,
I'm not getting into it. I'm not rising. I'm not rising. Ash, starting 11: Beadle, Valerie, Ihekwe, Bernard, Lowe, Charles, back in the game. Bannon, Pato up front. Windass and Lowe. One big question here. Now, there are two schools of thought for this question I'm going to ask you, Ash. Queen's Park Rangers, the MA Trade, Loftus Road, whatever it's called, stadium, is a very small pitch. And a pitch such as that is great for a player of Callum Patterson who will put his ass on the line for absolutely everything. Is that where we dropped Ike Ugbo? Or is it because Ike Ugbo has shut the bed now and even Danny's done with him? Let's talk about it, for God's sake, finally.
If you are a stats wanker, you're going to look at Ike Ugbo's output, shall we say, and not be the most impressed with it, are you? So if Danny is a statistical manager that likes to get into the numbers, they're not going to make good reading for Ugbo, are they? So he's gone with Jamal Lowe up front and prefers Patterson to be on that right hand side. When you saw the an hour before starting lineup, and I think there were quite a lot of people on social media saying, "Oh my God, we've got Patterson starting in 2025. How come?" Do you know what I mean? It was quite. People weren't. I think it was his first start since December 23 in Championship, which is ridiculous, really. I didn't think he'd be. I didn't think he'd played that much, but I thought he'd at least started a few games. Look, it's what I said about Bristol City. You get into that thing where you can moan at certain people not playing, but you're backing the manager now. I think I don't want to speak for all four of us, but there has been times when you see a starting 11 and you go, "Oh my God, what's he doing?" Under people. But with that, invested in what Danny Roll's doing and where we are in the league and stuff, and we haven't got the biggest of squad. We've got injuries that are coming back. Kabaski's coming back, Inti and Smith has only played a few games for if it's injury or whatever. So yeah, I'm happy with that. Obviously, I'm speaking with hindsight. If we'd have got a 4-0 drubbing, I'd have been going, fucking hell.
You'd be raging.
I would have, yeah, but obviously,
you'd have been raging.
But I'm not a Pato hater. I'm not a Pato hater.
Right,
either.
I'll be honest with you, and I think we should discuss that, because I think Callum Patterson ain't good enough to be a Championship footballer at the level we are. However, in a pitch such as Loftus Road and probably away at Luton, I think he's perfect for it. I think because given the way he plays, he will cover some ground. What do you reckon? Yeah,
of course he will. He will, and he has got that, or the fans believe he's got that 110%. And I mean, once again, if you look at his numbers, he might not give, his output might not be that, but the fans love him for what he gives or what he perceives to give on the pitch is 110%. And he's not he's not going to beat 4 or 5 men and slot it in the bottom corner with his left foot. Is he? But,
he ain't going to do that, but I think we might get into it. But in the meantime, there are going to be some big conglomerate corporations who have paid money to interrupt this show, and they're going to get involved right now. So, welcome back. So, Stevie, the first half, I felt there was nothing. Morgan Fox was quite maligned in his post-match comments, talking about how we managed to get something out of a bit nothing game. I don't agree with him as far as the second half, but the first half, there was nothing happening. Nothing took place, did it?
No, it was, I think I said at half time, it was the most 0-0 of 0-0 games that you could expect to see. Cancelled out, drab. These are my recollections of it, by the way, having spent the morning with you guys. But it didn't feel at the time when, you got onto that concourse, it didn't feel at half time like we were in a situation where we were, we should have been in front or we should have been behind. It was just a bit of a stalemate. And I know we're worrying about time. I've got nothing else to add to it.
Did you feel like it could have been one of those where there would be one goal and then that would decide it? I didn't feel like... I was worried that if they scored, we'd struggle, because that what was his name? That big 6-dimple Lego block we had up at front, Michael Frey. What an absolute unit of a human being he is. And then what I realised is when they had a set piece, when they'd have a corner, for example, and the box was coming in, they had that big geezer at the back where Dunn, him. They had Frey. They had about 6 players that just descended on the penalty spot that were all like yours and my height, Stevie. Like, they were all big stags, and I was genuinely concerned, like, that they might get something from that.
Yeah, potentially. But having said that, and like I said, it felt like we just cancelled each other out. So yeah, there were opportunities, and I'd attribute the opportunities that were given to. And I don't want to keep getting after it. Becomes a bit of a stereotype. The referee wasn't great again. No. I don't think.
Hang on. I'm gonna. Let me take umbrage with you just for a second on that. I felt the referee didn't get anything wrong. However, and I think a couple of people have commented that as well, if you can find a match, I just didn't think that we could get any momentum going in that game of football at all. I felt it was very stop-start. It was a bit niggly. It was a bit, there was a bit of back and forth, stuff like that. But I feel like, I don't think he got anything wrong, but I also don't feel like he let enough go.
I can't argue with that. Well, I can, because I'm saying I don't think he helped the game, but it wasn't like he'd made catastrophic errors. My point was, like you've just said there, the flow of the game, the advantages, there were soft free kicks here and there. There were a couple of situations where I just thought, yeah, you've got to let it run there. Or why have we decided that, the decisions that he's made are the ones that he's made? And I know people will probably take umbrage with what I'm saying there. I just felt that it was a game that it became more about him than the two teams that were playing, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. And it's like he wanted to be the star of the show at times. And I felt the better referees in the championship at any level are the referees that you don't notice. And I just noticed him too much. I think that's where my sentiment is coming from.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right. Now, again, still quite scrappy after half time. Danny made no subs whatsoever. So I'd love to know what he said to him at half time, because I feel like the second half we came out as a different team. Now, Simon, if I get to Smudge's goal, were you one of those that jumped straight up, or did you hold your breath until you saw the referee point towards the centre spot?
Where we were at the far left-hand side, which was, and we couldn't actually see the goal when everybody stood up. You couldn't actually, because like you say, it's such a tight ground and you're right on top of it. So we couldn't actually see. So it was, and I think there's video footage, isn't there, of like, apart from those behind the goal, of there's almost a delayed reaction of celebration.
Yeah.
Because of the angle, it went off his head. I think it hit the post and went across, isn't it? And then it's quite funny because the guy who cleared it from inside the goal was the only one amongst all of them who actually protested to say it hadn't gone over the line. And he was the one who kicked it.
I'd be doing exactly
the
same, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I know. But there was a momentum, a moment of has it gone in? Has it gone in? And then it went in, and it was a glorious ball from Mr. Bannon, or Dijon Bernard, as you just called him.
Yeah, Dijon Bannon.
And it was just Smudger had come on. He'd come on as sub, hadn't he, for Low, I think it was. And it was just a really lovely, well taken header, just over into that, out the keeper's reach. And pandemonium, because I thought we came out in the second half and we really gave them a game then. We sort of put our stamp on it.
Were you like me, though? Did you feel like we're seeing this out now? As soon as we broke that deadlock?
Yeah, without
But
doubt.
then again, I thought the same against Bristol City.
I mean, QPR had come through. They'd won last 5 at home, was it? They got a great record, and they despite poor start to the season, really were flying. And I think, if you looked at the form, you would probably say that they were the team that would probably win. But once we got that goal, and before that, we just looked a better team. Like you say, I don't know what Danny said at half time, but the stagnant nature of the first half was gone, and we were at them down the throats from the start.
Absolutely. I completely agree. Now, before we move on, obviously we were talking about that, and I think Sharman's put it up as a comment, Ash, but we're going to make Smudger today's hot topic. I don't know if you can still hear me, but that broke my headphones.
Can you turn that down a little bit next time?
I don't know.
You've just caused a pile up on the M1 with someone driving to work tomorrow morning, and they've just gone, shit, what was that?
So there's been some rumblings in the media over the last week about Wrexham actually offering cash money for Michael Smith, and about whether it's been turned down. It's reared its head again today. Let's give a ballpark figure. What's sensible, Stevie? 300 grand, 250? What do you reckon? What's a sensible amount of money for my hypothetical?
What, that he's worth, or
that Wrexham would pay?
I think they got money. I think they go at least 4.
Okay, let's call it 400 grand. The rumours online were £500,000, which for some reason I just can't believe that they had offered Michael Smith a deal. They'd offered us money, and it got turned down because it's believed that Michael Smith is an asset. So in today's hot topic, what I want you guys to do is talk about that. Would you let him go? Would you not? Would you let this old man in football years get a final payday from a team that's got a few quid and get a promotion under his belt? Let's talk about that after we get through this game, because I want to see some of your comments on it. Ashley, how are you feeling about Loftus Road?
I'm glad you come to me, Daniel. So, anyone who's been to Loftus Road and who is of a stout nature built, do you know? It's quite snug. I mean, a lot of places are quite snug for me, but they should have seen me trying to get into the bloody booth in Wetherspoons.
Oh, this table moves.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean,
no one was sitting down until we realised that table moved. There's a lot of big stags in this podcast.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, I'm joking aside, but it's not really funny, is it? Because for the last however many years, Hillsborough's been tarnished with a brush, hasn't it, for its away end? And I can only make reference to QPR. That being to Charlton is another one that I just
that funnel at Charlton.
Funnel is. And I haven't been in the Leppings Lane on a full match day. I've been on when it's bits and pieces and stuff, but not on a full match day. So I can't really comment. But how people cannot say that what you experience at QPR is not dangerous, I have not got a clue.
Yeah.
It is absolutely ridiculous. And I know there's no bars at Hillsborough and Leppings Lane end. It's just that one little kiosk in there, the window thing. But at QPR, you have very narrow concourse with bars. So, of course, comes 30, 35 minutes, people think, I'll go and have a beer. So there's 10 deep at the bar. So you've got literally one by one person space to go past. It's ridiculous. And how Newcastle United have never complained about that, I do not know. Especially the Daily Mail guy as well. He's never been to all the football grounds, has he? Really, he's just seen. Saw some shite on Twitter, didn't he? Yeah, but yeah, that's my massive growth. I think it's disgusting. I think it's just safe. You've got the kids. You've got loads of people in there. What was it? 2,000 nearly we took. Something like 1,800, 1,700. It was absolutely, and that was my biggest gripe of the day. I think that and Stevie paying about 50 odd quid for 5 beers or whatever it bloody was.
We'd won by then, though. So
we're all carried away, right? We're all carried away. There was 2 things that happened that day, and I know London's different, but I feel like I agree with you, Ash. That concourse at QPR terrifies me. I don't like it. And what it's done, there's two things happen. People from Yorkshire, as soon as you see the bar, they're going to bar. That's what they're doing. They're going bar. They've got there early. They're going at bar. And there was nobody saying, hey, lads, that bar down there's open as well. And like, we were stood on them stairs and we're trying to get around that corner. And it was getting tighter and tighter. And I tried to get to one of the concourses to get out onto the stand, to walk down the stand and come back in. And the big old unit wouldn't let me go. And I'm like, bro, have you seen it? This is awful. And there were people screaming at these guys. And all it needed was one fella going, hey, keep walking. Because once you got past Y3, the block Y3, the middle one, it was an absolute birthday down there. There was plenty of room. I was absolutely shocked. And why can't I walk down the bloody stadium? Grow up. Grow up. Did me head in. But anyway, keep your comments coming in reference to Michael Smith. Stevie, let's talk about the man of the moment and his left-footed finish and his interview after. I was absolutely buzzing for him. I was chuffed for him. It put me in a great mood watching him tear about and earn that goal.
Yeah, I'm not a huge proponent of Callum Patterson. I get the love because he's a shithousing, old school, I'm going to run my blood to water sort. That's fine. He's like I said, I'm not going to wave the flag for Callum Patterson, but I was really, just like you've just said there, I was really, really happy for him when the goal went in. I was really, really happy for him, having heard what he said after the fact. But just everybody in that moment, it was like a euphoria, it was like a release, wasn't it? When he's taken the ball, controlled it with his right, set himself, just bent it into the bottom corner with his left, and everybody just got round him. And I know that we were at that point, you're happy, aren't you? Because it's the end of the game. You've just guaranteed yourself 3 points. But for him to then come out afterwards and sort of talk about the fact that it's been a real struggle, I didn't realise until you guys mentioned it 2-3 minutes ago that December 23 was the last time he played and started in the league. That's over a year. And I know it was his first start of the season on Saturday, but credit to the bloke. I know that if you watch him, and I sit behind the dugout, he does like a sulk if you don't get on. If people get on before him, or they get called down to be subbed on, he's not a huge fan of that. And there's been times in the last 2 years where he's taken his shirt off, got himself ready, and then ended up having to put it back on. And he'll throw his shirt down, and he'll throw his bibs, and he'll chuck his toys out the pram. But for him to talk about how difficult it's been for him to have to sit there and imagine doing something that you love and not being able to do it because of the way that the game is set up nowadays. We don't have reserve football. I don't imagine he's playing a great deal of under 23s football. So he's playing training games behind closed doors. This is a guy who you can tell will thrive from being in front of a crowd. I think he referenced that and playing in front of the lads and getting people sort of cheering him on. So as much as I've said that I'm not his biggest fan, I couldn't have been. You'll find nobody that was as happy as me. Yeah. Absolutely buzzing. And I think it's great. Yeah,
and you're right. The stuff he said after the game in reference to biding his time and waiting. I genuinely, I was happy for him. But also, if someone's offering $100,000 for him this month, then Cal, it's been amazing. But in terms of the statistics, it was what it was. They did have a lot more of the ball, and it was quite noticeable. But I feel like that was them endeavouring to try and cut out Smudge's goal, but I feel like we swept it all up. I felt Bannon was outstanding. Lowe was incredible. Shea Charles was absolutely a man possessed. Bannon, I feel, goes under the radar for having a good game sometimes, and it was nice. And it was nice to put him on our man of the match thing. Did you
see, actually leading up to Patterson's goal? Did you see the back heel from Smudger to Shea Charles? So literally, Smudger's on the left wing, and he receives the ball and just back heels it to Charles. Charles breaks, and then obviously Patterson's down the wing. Because where did the 7 minutes of additional time come from?
I don't know, but I didn't breathe for any of them.
Was the referee queuing at the bar like the rest of us? And he's like, what the hell?
It just needed a minute. I didn't breathe because I was already on a Domino's and a spoon for breakfast. Ash. Let's get into some comments, please, pal. One's obviously not about Smith just yet, but just remind me, what was your name for Smith when you were writing the match day notes for me? What was it the other week? What was it?
Smith Smudgedinho, was it?
Smithidinho or something like that?
Yeah. Sorry about my lack of match thing today. I was going to do it at work, but bloody work got in the way, didn't it? Day job and all.
I know. I am all over the place right now. Having got home about 6 minutes before we press go. Let's go do some comments anyway. Smashed off, Elise.
Yeah. So I was going to read John's up being on from the podcast. Pato's a bit like Buckaroo. You get him out at Christmas time, and then by the end of Jan, you want to pack him away again. That's harsh, isn't it? That's harsh. So I've got quite a lot.
I feel like Holly is now going to be rinsing him in the group chat while we're watching this.
Yeah, there's quite a lot for Smith. So Smith has done well this season. I like him to stay. He gives us an option to play direct. He's our best header of the ball, and he will score goals from Mr. J.
I agree. Do you want to get into it, lads? Do you want to talk about today's hot topic? I'll not do the thing.
Don't play again.
Okay. So Stevie gave us the price. $400 is probably, reasonable. It's high enough to make us think about it. Stevie, do you want to start? Now, on one hand, you've got Michael Smith, someone who we were looking to offload in the summer, didn't really happen. Into his 30s now, and all the approaching mid-30s, which is $1 million in football years. Would you take the money and free it up, or would you sell?
I think that at this stage of the transfer window, it's a very difficult one because we're very late on. And if we got rid of Smith now, tomorrow, for example, we're talking Tuesday, the deadline's next Monday, I think it is, isn't it? So we're going to have to, so we would have to sign somebody Wednesday, Thursday get him ingratiated into the group, get him up to speed. Are we going to get somebody who's going to score the goals that Smith could potentially score for us? Are we going to get somebody who's going to mix with the group that Smith does at the moment? And he's clearly a very popular guy amongst the group. You know, you saw the goal that he scored on Saturday. Fans love him. Players will get round him. Are we going to replace him with better at this stage, I suppose, is what I'm asking. And at this stage, we're on a very fine line of, and I'll say it, there are people that will shoot me down. We could potentially get into the playoffs. We could. I'm not saying we will. I'm saying we could potentially. What we're talking, 3-4 points outside playoffs. You know, and there's a hell of a lot of football still to be played for the good of. Where are we? 41. So yeah, we're 3 points off sixth. For the good of the balance of the team and the squad, I think, and can't believe I'm going to say this, I think I'd be inclined to keep him, because I don't think we're going to replace him with better, and I don't think we are going to be able to, from a financial point of view, I don't think we're going to replace him with better, the cheaper. So I think it makes sense now to keep him till the end of the season, and if it means that he goes, he goes. And I know people will be lambasting me and saying we've got to make a profit out of him and blah, blah, blah. If we could get 400 grand, that's fine. But if we could get top six or even better,
it's like you're paying to go for playoffs. Essentially, do you gamble 400 grand on going for playoffs?
Yeah,
I think you've got to.
Steve is putting his playoff hopes on Smudger there, isn't he?
That's clip that. Ash, what about you? Where do you sit on it?
Oh, yeah, I haven't done this for a while, but I do agree with Stevie on this. But it's only
what is happening?
No. Whoa, just in the last thing, because historically we have been accused of not selling players at the right time for any sort of money, haven't we?
All right.
And we do not make money on players very often at all. And if you were going to say you could sell a 33-34-year-old player for 400 to 500, if it's in that ballpark figure, just say 400 grand, who hasn't really played any in the last 4 weeks. He's played 2 games, I think, in 4 weeks. He's not been part of it.
But I think he's earned more game time, though, especially over EK Bloody Ugbo.
Well, he will do when he's scoring, obviously, but you can't get rid of Ugbo, can he? How shit would Danny look then if he's got a player in for 2.5-3 million and he ships him out on loan because he's not playing to how he wanted to? But I don't know. It's
you and me play different football managers.
Yeah.
Mate, I think I would think twice about it.
Oh yeah, I'll do it. Yeah, football manager, easy. Isn't it? But I don't know. It's like Stevie says. It's hard if you're going to bring someone in who's then going to do what Ugbo did last season, hit the ground running. But the other flip side of it is that Smith's not a starter all the time. Even if he starts on Saturday, he won't start the following. Do you know what I mean? He's not a starter from now for the next. What's that?
17 games. 17
games, is it? Do you know what I mean? So if you're not going to persevere with Ugbo, then do you bring someone in? And if that 400,000 is a loan fee for someone to come in, if it's Stuart Armstrong that's been mentioned today or somebody else, I don't know, because you just got to trust whoever they find, don't you? Then yeah, I probably would it have changed your mind if you didn't score on Saturday?
Simon, give me the definitive on this one, and then we'll go to the comments about it. See what the mans are saying.
I'm completely in the same camp as Stevie in regards to if you take the guys scored 6 goals this season, you take that goal scoring threat out. Which who else have we got up front of that sort of stature with that goal scoring threat? Ugbo is not scoring, so you can't take that goal scoring threat out the side when the team is pushing, knocking on the door of the playoffs. Because like Steve says, the money you would lose for selling him, 400,000, you would more than make up if we ended up in the playoffs through profits of 2 games, home and away. And then obviously if we got into the final, you can't let that go. If the boot was on the other foot, I don't think Smith was ever really in Danny's plans at the start. You know, I don't think he was ever going to be the player that Danny wanted, and he was just we'd got that one season left in him. £500,000 to us, you and I, we'd thank anybody to pay £500,000, £400,000 into our bank account tomorrow, wouldn't we? But in regards to a football club, it is peanuts. So
is it at this level for a 33-year-old? I think that's a hell of a amount of money, given that we paid 50 grand for Chris Lyons all those years ago.
Mate,
and
we
that
are.
I feel like it's a good wedge.
What when's the end of the transfer window? Friday, is it? Friday, the end of
Monday.
the transfer window?
Monday.
All right, Monday. So what we're going to get? Who are we going to get that's going to come in? You know, what is there out there that's going to come in? We don't know, do we? Because he'll pull out somebody like Ugbo. I don't think anybody ever saw Ugbo coming in last year. But no, I'd keep him personally. Definitely keep him.
Can I make one more? I just make one more point. I'm so sorry. I'll be quick. With the money that we've got available as well, whether we got rid of Smith or not, the money that we've got right now, if you look at our team, you look at the dynamic of the team, it doesn't seem like it because we haven't got a centre forward that scored double figures, but we are scoring goals. Yeah. So in the grand scheme of things, is a striker, and I'll say it, is a striker a priority when we're getting them from other areas? Would that money be better served if we've got a certain budget looking at, in this late stage of the window, another midfielder, another fullback, another centre half? Should that not be the priority rather than worrying about whether or not, because Smith might be able to do a job for us?
But you're right, because we've got Gassama and Windass scoring goals and all the like. I completely understand that. I think what we're forgetting is wages as well. He will have got some promotion clauses when he went up with us. He would have got a decent wedge bit with because we'd have more than matched his money when he got promotion clauses when he went up with Rotherham. And I feel like his wages would free up a significant amount. Even if it's free, I happily let him go, and I'd congratulate him on going to a team like Wrexham that will keep him for a couple of years, play him a decent wedge for playing at that level. You know, we all know Paul Mullin, for example, is a great example of how much Wrexham are paying. Stick him up front with Fletch, stick him up front with Mullin, and all of a sudden you've got people in California knowing who the hell Michael Smudger Smith is, and I absolutely, there's part of me that absolutely loves that. And let's not forget, he's 30 man. Let's give him his payday. Let's give him his payday.
I was going to say that. I was going to say that. Is it Sheffield Wednesday's decision? As Michael Smith, he runs out in summer. Does he want to go now and get 18 months, 2 years, or something somewhere else? Does he want to stay for the 6 months and then leave and then get something for 12? If he's offered something now in January, like 18 months or whatever, does he want to take that now instead of waiting till summer and not get a deal? Or is he rejected Sheffield, or has Sheffield Wednesday actually offered him another year or anything? There's all this behind the scenes stuff. And what I was going to say before Stevie actually answered it was, are you banking Smith to get your 10, 12 goals between now and the end of the season that we'll need from a striker to get into the playoffs?
Yeah, that's the gamble, the 400 grand gamble.
But we're not getting it. We're not getting that from Ike Ugbo at the moment. So
we get rid of Smith and bring someone in who could get us that.
But we've got to bring somebody in. So at the end of the day, there's no point, let him go, and then it just all fails at the last point, because then we've got Ike Ugbo running the front line, and we can say, right, who do we bring on? Oh, well, we had a striker who scored 6 goals, but unfortunately he's playing now for Hollywood FC. Because we took £500,000 for him,
I'd love him to go, and I'd congratulate him and say, fair play. You've done exactly the right thing, especially if he gets a 2.5-year contract or even an 18-month contract. I feel like it'd be the best thing for him. Ash, let's give the watchers, the viewers, the mans, the interwebs, the people, the great unwashed. Let's give them the last word on it. We've got some great comments on it, and then this is our feelings. What's yours?
Yeah. So Bread Bin. If Smith was only playing a bit part this season, I'd wish him well on his way, but he's not. And unless Chansiri is pulling off something mad in terms of replacement, then he simply can't go.
I agree with the term, pulls off something mad. Yeah, that's our chairman, yeah.
John Rhodes, be sad to see Smudge go, if he does, but we'll always have that Portsmouth Thunder chuffler.
Yep.
What we got here? We got... Mads Ward, can't get rid of Smudger. Left it too late. He offers something different and he's on form.
Ike Ugbo was on form, and then we spunked a load of money.
Smith's not Mr. Right, but he's Mr. Right now.
That's the most John-ism I've ever heard in my life. That is the most Johnologue I've ever come across in my life.
John a log.
Yeah.
I think he's got a bit of a point there, really. Actually, as well.
Yeah,
Listen,
Like
you
I said,
want to see his latest comment.
What's that one? Oh, Jesus Christ,
Oh.
John. He's on fire tonight. John's one-liners are something else. I absolutely love him. He could write Christmas crackers. He's written, that would be some experience up front for them. You could call them Tyrannosaurus Rexum.
Jeez. Is it? Dad joke. There we are.
That joke of the year.
And I think we could actually write one from our WhatsApp group, couldn't we?
Yeah.
Johnny's
Maybe we should have our own Christmas crackers from the tat shop next Christmas.
The John the log. Let's get on it. Ash, what else have we got from the comments? So let's wrap up the hot topic.
Apologies. Jay Blogs has said transfer market says 250, but I'd say 400 if we have the ability to bring in really good forward with it. But that's the $1 million, $400,000 question, isn't it?
Fair enough. Now there were some bits of news outside of the Shea Charles announcement. That was a great one. That was been my favourite this week. But Atty Newhugh has been gifted, or has worked hard for. He's earned the right to be the assistant manager of the Kosovo national football team, and I'm absolutely buzzing for him. I'm absolutely over the moon for Big Atty. I know he doesn't like being called Big Dave, so I'm not going to do him the disservice of calling him that, but he is now the assistant manager of the Kosovo national team. Congratulations, Atty. And there's also some heavily strong rumours perpetuated earlier on in the week by Joe Cran, I think doubled down today by Alex Miller, that we've got Ryo Hatusi, who's a Japanese player that we all know nothing about, and everybody's going to have an opinion on by tomorrow once they've Googled him on Transfer Market and or Wikipedia, just like they did with everybody else.
Yeah, I think he's been training, hasn't he, for the last 10 days or something, but he's not training anymore, so look into that as what you will. So, yeah.
Ooh, it's fancy, but it's
so
also...
So the Twitterati say, so...
Twitterati, and they can always be trusted.
Of course.
But it's also worth mentioning that Kobe Mainu trained with us for a bit and then done anymore. So, what do we do with that? It's time to move into that part of the evening where I talk to you about any other business. Now, Stevie, you've got a big one to start us on. Do you want to kick us off?
I promised my good friend Speakeasy Simon that I'd mention his bench walks that he's got coming up. I'm just filling while I get to it. Am I right to just do that? So for those of you that know Speakeasy Club on social media, he's got his bench to bench initiative that's coming up on the 30th of May. He's partnered up with the community program at the club, and the idea is that we're going to walk 41 miles from Nottingham Forest Ground to Hillsborough, and we're going to take in a few venues on the way. So it's a trek, 41 miles from Nottingham to Sheffield. We're going to go to the 8 benches in Chesterfield, Sheffield FC, City Ground, Sheffield United along the way, all to raise money and awareness for partially going into the club as well, but just to sort of raise awareness around that sort of mental health and positivity that he pushes to drive with the Speakeasy initiative. I think it starts at 4 o'clock in the morning. I need to double check that, but he's texted me and he says, on this day, you are doing this walk. And I was like, all right, sounds.
Stevie, you're not selling it to me here. What's the good bit? What's the good bit? What's the
good bit is you can come along and we'll go Forest, Notts County, Chesterfield, Sheffield United, and then Sheffield Wednesday, 41 miles. It's going to be a good day. And he has promised me that once we get a little bit closer to the ground, he might let me have a beer as I'm walking. So
let you have one beer. So essentially what you're saying is get involved, but take a hip flask, I think I'm pretty sure is what the advice was there. Ash, do you have anything to add?
Is there anywhere to register if you want to take part in that, Stevie?
So there's a link. So for people that know us, and if you're in the Last Man Standing group, I'm going to drop that information in there. I'm going to send the link through to Ash, and we're going to get everything sorted out over the next 24, 36 hours. I'll make sure that we've got links through our socials that you can jump on and register. I think it's an Eventbrite. Sorry, Simon. I should know the answer to that before I go and promote your initiative.
We will happily share that.
We'll get it out. We'll get it out, and it's the more the merrier. Please jump on if you can.
And you get to meet Stevie in the flesh and lick him on the neck and claim him as yours.
And maybe carry him at mile 38.
Yeah, he's gonna need that. Anything else to add, Ash? Simon, we've got obviously Bailey Cadamarteri's been injured. There was a chat about him coming back to Sheffield Wednesday, but given because it's quite a hefty injury of about 6 weeks, Lincoln have decided to stay with him and not return him because they feel he would be useful towards the run in at the end of the season. So good luck with the injury, Cads, and let's hope it's not too bad.
Cool. Nothing from me, mate. I ain't got any other business.
No, nothing from me either.
Stevie, I feel like what we're looking at there is Ash and Simon on a work call when they just sit. Like, have you ever done the work calls where you sit there in utter silence and then go unmute? That's nothing from me. Cheers, guys. It's been absolutely great.
Pretty much.
How
can we follow walking 41 miles?
Yeah, ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I know.
You have to be ready.
Easy. Get on the train. Drive. Is the bench the pink benches each at one of those as well now?
Yeah. My understanding is that the benches are there. It's a big thing that he's growing. And like I said, I've got some links and some videos that I'll be sharing. He got in touch with me last night. My head was still in Shepherd's Bush, wondering how I paid 50 quid for a round.
I'm going to go and get a good nap and a ham sandwich. Guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks a lot to Stevie, Simon and Ash. Thanks a lot from me this evening. And thanks a lot to you lot out there. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already before. In the meantime, see you later. Every week, live from 8 p.m. It's the Wednesday Week. Bringing you football analysis.
He came in. I think he scored a goal.
Bringing you banter.
Yeah.
Bringing you responsible life hacks.
Met you wonderful souls at 10 a.m. for some shots.
The Wednesday Week. 1, 2, 3, 4 live. Available on all social medias.
Obviously, this goes out on YouTube and as well as all the other social media out there, podcasts, etc.
The Wednesday Week 24-25 season. Join us.
Put on your podcast.